Welcome back to your crafty place. I'm Beth. Today we are going to make some cards using card template number 3. Like the ones that we've previously done, these are 9 different cards that you can make using the same size pieces. So we have the 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, the 5 1/4 by 4. We have 4 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares and 1 4 by 1 strip. So a couple of the cards that I've already made, I've already cut out a bunch of 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares. A couple of the cards that are on here, like, let's see, this one here is this card here. So we've got the, instead of using a white piece or a solid piece here, I've used a pattern piece of paper, and then I've used a solid piece on the back, and then we have the same solid piece is one of our 1.5 by 1.5 inch squares turned on an angle, and then our pattern paper on the top on those two. Same way with this one. So this one here is this one here. So we have the piece, the strip along the side, and then I've used the dark brown as one of the squares. So you don't necessarily always have to use pattern paper to make up the 4 squares. You could do colored, just the colored same as the background if you wanted to, or ink blend your own color paper however you wanted to. You could also use, like, this is a strip, because these are cut to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. There's a little bit of a piece of the brown that is left on each side when you trim it down from your 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and you're trimming it down. So you could use that piece to put along the edge here, and then line this one up on it if you wanted to, so that it kind of matches along with the others. You could turn it and put it all the way across the center if you wanted to, and then put that along there like that. So as I've said in previous ones, the little pieces that get cut off because you're making the paper just a little bit smaller than a total 8.5 by 11, like your card bases, you get 2 card bases out of 8.5 by 11 because they're 5.5 by 4 1/4. So when we start trimming these pieces down, we have little pieces like this that are left that we can use on these cards. So let's try this card here. So this card here is this going down the center, and then it's 2 cards, 2 of the 1.5 by 1.5 straight on either side, and then it's 2 that are kind of at an angle. And maybe let's do these at an angle here. So this one would be straight, this one would be straight, and then these 2 would be at an angle. So that's that one here. This one actually only uses 3 of the 1.5 by 1.5, so you could double stack them to make one a little bit higher than the other. This one here, again, is this piece going along the bottom, and then it's the 2 squares. So you could do it, again, a solid piece, or you could take 2 pattern pieces and make your square, your overlaid squares. You could also do 2 just solid pieces if you wanted just solid pieces, and then if you had an embellishment or something to stick on there. I don't think you always have to use pattern paper for these pieces. You could use the solid paper, and if you had, say you had a stamp set like this, which is one we've used the last couple of weeks, and we wanted to maybe use these hearts and stick the heart on there. So we could take the heart off of here and put the heart on there as the, not the stamp, but we would stamp the heart on there as the embellishment. Or maybe we wanted the 3 little hearts on there as the embellishment. So there's a lot of different things that you could do. You could also, if you wanted to, these are the 3 little hearts you could stick on there. If you had them on here and you were doing this with both of them this way, and we have both of these on here, you could do like I'm and then sorry on the other one. You wouldn't have to do all of this on one of these, and you wouldn't have to do any embellishments or any other sentiments on there. So let's get to making a couple of cards, or at least card fronts. We may not put them on card bases, but let's do a couple of card fronts using our diagrams here. I'm going to do, I think, this one here, and then maybe we'll do this one here. We'll do these two just so that they can stay in the frame. So I'm going to set this one aside really quick, and we're going to do this one first. So this one here is what we're going to do. So I'm not going to use the background paper just yet. We will glue it all onto the background paper in just a minute. I'm going to take my music paper here, and I do not remember which one this is. I do think this is something that I got from, I think, Walmart years ago, but I could be wrong on that. But I don't have the front of it any longer, so I'm just going to try and make sure that it's about the same on either side and at the top and the bottom. Doesn't have to be perfect. There is that. And then I'm going to take one of the numbers here and put it down so that it's at the angle and it overlaps. It doesn't overlap quite as much as that one does, but it still overlaps. And then I'm going to grab another one with the numbers and put it down so it overlaps. I'm going to have it, I think, kind of go this way to try to get about the same amount here and here as I have here and here. So there's those two, and then I'm going to take two of the music sheet pieces and put them down on here like this. You could also layer if you wanted a layering piece behind all these. You could layer, just make this 1 3/4 by 1 3/4, and then you could layer this on there, and you'd have a backing layer on there. So you're welcome to layer any of them. You just need to go up that 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch larger than your other pieces. I think this is the right way, but maybe not. But we're going to put it on there. And I'm going to try to get about the same amount here as I have on the other side here. And then this piece will get layered onto here like this, and then we'll come back for a sentiment. So now we're going to do this one. And this time we're going to do this one here. So I'm going to use my strip. This is the 1 inch by 4 inch, and we used a 1 inch by 4 inch in some of the previous videos as well. I'm going to put this down towards the bottom. Try to get it as straight as possible and lined up on the sides. And then I'm going to take two of my pieces here, and I can either, like I said, do it kind of like this and have the background be the numbers. And then that gives me a place to put the sentiment on the front here. Or I can do both of the background pieces in a solid color and the top in a solid color. So I'm going to do it kind of like this, I think, just to make it a little different. And this one is going to go, doesn't really matter because it's going to be pretty much covered all the way. But this one's going to go with it pointing straight up and down, as is this one. Straight up and down, and about the same side over here as I have over here. And then these two will go on here. But if we're going to do these two on here, and we're going to use these to stamp our sentiment on, I think I'm going to do that first. So let's move this out of the way really quick. Let's get our block. We're going to keep using the same stamp set that we have used for a while now. And I have these to choose from. So if I wanted to, I could do the just and the because without the 3 little dots on there. I could do the get and the well and the soon on another card. I could do the just for and the you on the separate card here. So let's try the just and the for and the you. So I'm going to put the stamp on the card base just like you normally would. And then going to get a piece of Post-it note here. I have these larger ones. If you have smaller ones, you could use those too. Sticky part, I'm going to put down on the stamp. I only have the for you showing. I'm going to ink the for you up. Just dab it. You could go the other way with it if you wanted to. Alright. And I'm going to take my Post-it note off, set it aside. That's a lot of ink on that Post-it note because it's all on the Post-it note. None of it went onto the cardstock. So we're going to try and make this in the center and stamp. And then pull that up. Make sure you wipe your stamp off and let it dry. You don't want to do the other part with it being wet. You can let it dry by wiping it with another towel, or I just use my hand and put my hand on it. This time we're going to cover up the just for, and it doesn't necessarily have to stick. If you're going to do it this way, as long as it is there and covering it up, that's all that really matters. And then you're just going to stamp down on this part, pull this away. We should be done with the ink now. And this one is going to run off, so you could use the rest of that Post-it note so that you could grab the rest of that U here. And I'm just going to, and I could turn it on a side if I didn't want it to, but the way this piece is going on there is going to be straight across. So I kind of want it to be kind of straight, or as straight as possible. And then pull it up. We're going to glue both of these pieces down, but before we do that, let's use our distress ink here really quick. Just because everything else looks kind of grungy, let's grungy this up a little bit. Not a lot, but I'm just going to put a little bit. We've done this in some of our other videos. You could do this with the black. If you only have the one ink pad, you could do it with the one ink pad that you have. You don't have to have a separate ink pad to do this. Just make sure that your ink that you stamped your letters with is dry. So there's that. That grunges those perfectly clean pieces up just a little bit. Glue this down on here, trying to make sure that I have about the same amount of on each side. You could pop these two up if you wanted to. There's that. Now let's go ahead and put this down onto a card base. Not a card base, sorry, the layering piece. And then I have my card base here, and I would stick this down on here like this. So there is this one on a card base. So there's the two cards with template number 3. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.